Because you don't deserve it. Psalm 51. David didn't deserve to write Psalm 51. He should have died for having sex with the wife of one of his most faithful servants, murdering him and trying to cover it all up. Any one of those things required the death penalty. It's in the law that God gave Moses. But God didn't wipe him off the map. He sent Nathan, the prophet, with a story of a rich man who stole a poor farmer's only lamb instead of serving one of his own to feed a guest. David swore that the rich man should die for his evil, until Nathan said, "You're the man." Gulp. What do you do when you're caught red-handed? Most of us run away. A few stand still and accept the bitter consequences of our own actions. Hardly any of us have the audacity to look into the eyes of the one who's got the power to end our life and ask for forgiveness and complete removal of all consequences. But that's what David does. I think it happened as he wrote this psalm. Put yourself in his shoes. Imagine yourself kneeling. You grovel and sob because of how miserable you feel. Regret pierces your heart with images of what you've done. Seeing her naked beauty on the roof, seducing Bathsheba, looking at Uriah's face as he refused to sleep with his wife while his fellow soldiers endured the battlefield. The rage that possessed you, the moment you found out she was pregnant, ordering Uriah's murder. The satisfaction when you found out he was dead. There's no escape. You deserve to die. So you start by appealing to the part of God's character that forgives. Give me mercy, because your love, kindness, and compassion overflow like no one else's. Erase my wrongdoing. Make me pure. Scrub me clean. Remember your tenderness most of all. Seems like a long shot, but you keep going. I'm to blame. I did it all. Your actions flash through your mind again. It's always there. I can't get rid of it, and I did it all to you. Your plea for mercy isn't looking too good. Now, I must confess that I don't totally understand when he says, "Against you and you only have I sinned." I mean, he clearly sinned against Bathsheba, Uriah, and the whole nation as well. And God doesn't seem to gloss that over either, since he confronts David about it through Nathan, the prophet, and through consequences afterward. Plus, the phrase is connected to that you may be found just when you speak and blameless when you judge, according to the New King James Version. See, I think David's telling God to judge him like he did it all intentionally against him. No matter how severe the sentence he receives, he trusts God's justice. It's the only thing I can think of that stays consistent with the rest of the story and God's character. So let's go with that. Now the next tricky verse. Look, I was born in iniquity and even conceived in sin. Now, I've heard speculation from people that David may have been his father's son, but of a different mother than the rest of his brothers. Maybe that's why he got stuck watching sheep. Maybe that's why Jesse didn't bring him with the other brothers when Samuel came looking to anoint the next king. Whatever the background, it's pretty devastating to trace your own sin before your birth. You can't escape. It grips you everywhere. So you begin writing verse 6, repeating the same word as the previous verse for added emphasis. At least that's how it is in the original Hebrew. It's like you're screaming, "Behold," or "Look," in an all-out attempt to win the compassion of God's heart. Look, maybe I was doomed from before birth, but you delight in finding what's hidden. You know me and make me to know your wisdom. See, as you finish the phrase, something happens inside. You realize that God can even go back before the start of sin and plant seeds of goodness. You start getting excited. You write the next two verses not as petitions starting with a verb, but as declarations. You cleanse me on the outside, and I'm clean. You bathe me, and I'm purer than freshly fallen snow. You bring smiles, laughter, shouts of happiness to my ears, and everything that felt crushed starts to come alive. hope in God's forgiveness races to your fingers. Oh, please don't look at all my wrongs. Wipe away even the unintentional mistakes. Don't just forgive me this time. Go all the way. Make a brand new heart for me, one that has no fault. Give me the right attitude. Whatever you do, don't throw me out of your presence. Let your Spirit stay with me forever. Give me the joy of being rescued by you and keep it fresh in my mind. Can you feel the freshness of a clean conscience? See, most of what we've heard in churches stops right there, but you don't. You're bursting with joy. You want more than just to be right, to be even on the sin scale. I'm going to teach other lawbreakers how merciful you are, God. They'll come running back to you. Oh, wipe away the guilt of the blood I've shed, and no one will be able to shut my singing down. Everyone will hear melodies of your saving power, your holiness. My lips will make you famous. Because you don't want gifts, more punishment, or I'd throw myself on the altar. You care about the hurt of my heart, genuine humility. That's what you want. Humility and awe sweep you out into God's heart. Now that your eyes have locked back onto Him, you start seeing the whole situation from His perspective. For the first time since your sin, your heart bursts with His desire for the people who look to you for leadership. Don't stop with me. Be good to your people. Build our boundaries back up. Then we won't be giving offerings out of trying to get right. They'll ascend from clean consciences, joyful desires to honor you. You'll get the worship that you deserve. The world will know what a merciful and glorious God you are. Incredible. Even the structure displays it. Verses 1 through 8 parallel verses 9 through 17. First, David authentically repents and receives cleansing. Then, he asks for restoration and becomes an evangelist and worshiper. Finally, he caps it off in verses 18 and 19 with his request for the blessing of Israel and a national heart dedicated to the honor that God deserves. Just thinking through it helps you see the transformation. Writing it changes you even more. David went from selfish leader, deceiver, adulterer, and murderer to king with a clean heart, willing to lay down his life for his people. That's what the real God does when you pour out your sin on His lap. If only everyone ran to God when they sinned instead of away from Him. He loves giving His heart to those who don't deserve it. He wants to make your rescue His excuse to show the world just how much He loves. So how much will you let Him rescue you?